Welcome back to Building Modular Dreams. This is episode 3 of season 2, and today we're talking about something close to a lot of people's hearts: downsizing. Specifically, how modular homes can help retirees and empty nesters live comfortably, stay close to family, and free up their hard-earned equity. I'm Andrew Copley from AJC Modular, and with me, as always, is our sales manager and resident modular guru, Mark Bias. Mark, thanks for being here.
Thanks, mate. It's always good to be here. Downsizing is a topic I'm really passionate about because we've helped so many people through that process, whether they're selling a big family home, moving closer to the kids, or just looking for a simpler way of life. Modular can be a fantastic solution.
So, let's start with the big question: why downsize? For many retirees and empty nesters, the family home becomes more of a burden than a blessing. It's full of stairs, gardens that need constant attention, spare rooms that gather dust, and a mortgage or rates bill that eats into the pension. On top of that, it might be located far from children and grandchildren. Downsizing doesn't mean downgrading. It means right-sizing. You're trading space you don't use for a home that's easier to maintain, more efficient, and closer to the people and places that matter.
Yeah, and there's a financial angle too. Selling a large property and moving into something smaller can free up a significant chunk of capital. I've worked with clients who sold $1 million suburban home, built a $250,000 modular dwelling on their daughter's property, and then invested the remaining $750,000. They've got a new, low-maintenance home, and they've boosted their retirement income.
And let's not forget the emotional side. The idea of leaving a family home can be daunting. Years of memories, kids' height markings on the wall, favorite spots in the garden. But I've noticed that once people settle into a thoughtfully designed modular home, they often say they wish they'd done it sooner. The maintenance is minimal, everything is on one level, and there's a sense of relief.
Exactly. I had a client, Mary, who lived in a 2-story house for 40 years. She loved the place, but the stairs became a challenge after her hip replacement. Her kids were worried about her living alone. Mary sold the house, moved into a single-level 2-bedroom modular home in her son's backyard, and she hasn't looked back. She's got her own space, a garden patch she can manage, and she sees her grandkids every day. She told me, and this is almost a direct quote, "I thought moving would feel like losing something. Instead, I feel like I gained a whole new chapter."
Let's talk about design, because this is where modular really shines for retirees. When we design a home for someone in their 60s or 70s, we're thinking about accessibility and comfort. That means single-level living, no stairs, no sunken lounges. It means wider doorways and hallways to accommodate mobility aids if they're ever needed. It means lever handles instead of round doorknobs so arthritic hands can easily open doors.
And bathrooms. Let's talk about bathrooms. Walk-in showers with no steps, grab rails that are actually stylish, non-slip flooring. We can integrate these features from day one. One of our popular designs, the Barossa, has a large ensuite with a walk-in shower and a separate toilet. It's not a hospital bathroom, it looks like a hotel, but it's safe and easy to use.
Kitchens too. Lower bench heights can make food preparation easier if you can't stand for long periods. Pull-out drawers instead of deep cupboards so you don't have to bend and reach. And we position light switches and power points at heights that don't require you to stoop. All these details might sound small, but together they make a huge difference in daily life.
Another key consideration is natural light and ventilation. Large windows, sliding doors, cross breezes, these elements improve well-being. And because our modules are built off-site, we can orient them on your block to capture the best light and views. A lot of retirees tell me they love waking up and looking out at their garden or a vista instead of a neighboring fence.
And you touched on it earlier, modular homes are customizable. If you want a guest room for when the grandkids sleep over, we can include that. If you need a hobby room or a small study, no problem. We can also future-proof the design by reinforcing bathroom walls so grab rails can be added later, or by leaving space for a ramp if it's ever needed. That way the home adapts as your needs change.
I remember a couple who asked for a workshop because the husband loved restoring old radios. We added a 3x4 meter workshop module with built-in benches and storage. He spends hours there, totally in his element. His wife told me it's the best thing they did because now she doesn't have to listen to him tinkering on the kitchen table.
Let's talk lifestyle. Downsizing is about more than the house. It's about what you gain in your life. When you move into a low-maintenance modular home, you free up time. Less time mowing the lawn and cleaning empty rooms means more time for hobbies, travel, or volunteering. I've met retirees who use the equity they free up to buy a caravan and hit the road for months at a time, knowing their modular home is secure and easy to lock up.
And there's the social aspect. Living closer to family, especially grandkids, can be a huge benefit. We've seen a big trend of parents building a modular home in their kids' backyard. It's called a granny flat for a reason. They have their independence, but they're close enough to help with babysitting or to receive help if they need it. It's multi-generational living without the friction of sharing a roof.
And if you don't have kids or prefer some distance, there are still options. More and more communities are springing up that are specifically designed for over 55s. These aren't typical retirement villages. They're small clusters of modular homes around shared gardens or clubhouses. You own your home and lease the land or join a cooperative. It's affordable, there's a built-in social network, and the homes are designed for aging in place.
Another lifestyle perk is sustainability. Modular homes can be incredibly energy efficient. We use quality insulation, double-glazed windows, and orient the building to maximize passive heating and cooling. That means lower power bills, important when you're on a fixed income. Some retirees also choose to add solar panels and rainwater tanks. We don't install those ourselves, but we can design the home to accommodate them easily, and the savings over time can be substantial.
Welcome back to the second half of our downsizing discussion. In this part, we want to share some real stories from clients who've made the switch to modular living in their later years. These aren't fairy tales. There were challenges along the way, but the outcomes have been overwhelmingly positive.
Let's start with Jim and Barbara. They're in their early 70s. They lived in a large Queenslander on half an acre. Beautiful house, but it needed painting, the roof leaked, and the stairs were becoming dangerous. Their kids had moved interstate. Jim and Barbara decided it was time for a change. They sold the Queenslander for $950,000. They bought a small block near their daughter's house for $200,000 and used $250,000 to build a custom modular home. The house has 2 bedrooms with an open-plan living area and a lovely deck. Because it's modular, it was ready in 14 weeks. They moved in, invested the remaining $500,000, and now have a tidy nest egg plus a modern, easy-to-manage home.
And there was a bit of hesitation at first. Jim was worried about living in what he called a box. He thought modular homes would feel cramped. After he walked through our Waratah model at the display centre, he changed his mind. The high ceilings, large windows and outdoor living spaces made it feel bigger than their old house. He said, "I can actually breathe in here."
Exactly. Another couple, Peter and June, built a modular home in their son's backyard in Canberra. Their main goal was to be close to family. They sold their 4-bedroom place in Sydney for $1.2 million, built a $220,000 modular home with 2 bedrooms and a study, and put the rest of the money into an investment portfolio. Peter still works part-time as an accountant. He set up his home office in the 2nd bedroom. June gardens in the raised beds we built next to their deck. They're 5 minutes from their grandkids. They babysit regularly and attend all the school concerts without an hour-long drive.
I love that story because it shows that downsizing doesn't mean losing functionality. Their modular home is not just a place to sleep, it's a base for their daily life. And because it's designed for them, every square meter is used.
Let's share one more. We worked with a widower named Jeff. He lost his wife a few years ago and found his 3-story terrace in inner-city Melbourne both lonely and impractical. The stairs were hard on his knees. The upkeep was time-consuming. He was nervous about moving because his home was his last tangible connection to his late wife. Jeff came to our display center and, after a long chat and a walk through the Barossa model, decided to take the plunge. He sold the terrace for $1.4 million, bought a block on the Mornington Peninsula for $300,000, and built a $280,000 modular home with lots of natural light and a spare room for guests.
Jeff, like many people, took some time to, reconcile the idea of moving. But once he did, he found a new lease on life. He joined the local bowls club, adopted a dog, and started painting again. He told us, "I thought downsizing would make my world smaller. It made it bigger."
Now, let's talk money. Downsizing is as much a financial decision as it is a lifestyle one. You need to understand how the numbers work. If you're selling a high-value property to fund your modular build, you should get independent advice on the best way to structure your finances. For example, selling a principal residence might not attract capital gains tax, but investing the proceeds could have tax implications. Talking to a financial advisor can help you maximize your pension entitlements and minimize tax.
Financing the build is generally straightforward. Many downsizers use cash from the sale of their previous home. Others might take out a small loan if there's a timing gap between selling and building. We've also seen parents and children come to arrangements where the kids fund the build in exchange for a share of the estate later. Whatever the case, put it in writing. A loan agreement between family members can prevent misunderstandings down the line.
Then there's the approvals process. If you're building a modular home in New South Wales, you may need a development application. That can take 6 to 9 months. Victoria is usually quicker because you just need a building permit. South Australia sits somewhere in the middle. We help our clients navigate this maze. We know which paperwork to submit, which consultants to engage, and how to keep the process moving. If you're planning to live in the modular home yourself, most councils are supportive, but they still require the right documentation.
And remember, approvals are not just about planning. There are building codes to meet, energy efficiency, accessibility, fire safety. The good news is that modular homes often exceed these standards because they're built in controlled environments. But it's important to factor in the timelines. If you need to move out of your old home by a certain date, make sure your new home will be ready. Temporary accommodation can eat into your budget if there are delays.
Let's talk about mistakes, because we've seen a few. One of the biggest is underestimating how much stuff you have. Seriously, you think you've only got a couple of boxes, and then the movers arrive and fill an entire truck. When you're downsizing, be ruthless with your possessions. Keep the things that matter, photo albums, heirlooms, but sell or donate the rest. You can't fit a lifetime of stuff into a 2-bedroom modular home.
Another mistake is choosing a design that's too small. Yes, you want to downsize, but you also need enough space to live comfortably. I've had clients insist on a tiny footprint to save money, only to regret it when they realize they had nowhere for the sewing machine or the surfboard. Work with your designer to strike a balance. A second bedroom, a small study, or a generous living area might be worth the extra cost.
And don't skimp on accessibility features. I've had people say, "I don't need grab rails, I'm fit as a fiddle." Well, maybe you are now, but think 10 or 20 years ahead. It's much easier and cheaper to put those features in during the build than to retrofit them later. The same goes for wider doorways and stepless entries. Future-proof your home while you're at it.
Location is another potential pitfall. Moving closer to family is great, but make sure the area has the services you need: doctors, shops, public transport. I know a couple who moved to a rural property next to their daughter. They loved it until they realized they were an hour from the nearest hospital. Their daughter ended up driving them to appointments every week. They eventually moved back to a town. The lesson? Think about your daily needs as well as your family connections. A lot of our conversation so far has been about the practicalities, money, design, approvals, but we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the emotional side of downsizing. Leaving a family home isn't just a logistical challenge, it's a psychological one. You're closing a chapter that may have lasted decades, and that can bring up feelings of grief, guilt, excitement, and relief all at once.
I see it every time we meet a client who's considering a move. They walk through our display homes with mixed expressions: curiosity, hope, and fear. Many of them worry about losing their identity, Their home is part of who they are. The photos on the wall, the worn spot on the floor where the dog sleeps, the tree their kids planted, it all tells a story. Letting go of that can feel like erasing part of themselves.
One strategy we've seen work well is to create a memory box. Take photos of your favorite corners, the kids' hype marks on the doorframe, the garden bed. Collect a few tangible items, maybe a brick from the chimney or a piece of the fence. When you move into your new home, display those memories somewhere special. They become a bridge between your past and your future.
There's also the process of sorting through your belongings. It can be overwhelming, but it can also be cathartic. I remember helping my parents go through their garage. We found boxes that hadn't been opened in 20 years. Dad insisted on keeping every screw and bolt, just in case. We compromised, kept a small jar of mixed screws for emergencies, and donated the rest to a men's shed. For things like old toys or clothes, giving them to family members or charities can make the letting go easier, because you know they'll continue to be used and loved.
And don't underestimate the power of talking it through. Chat with friends who've downsized. Talk to your kids about how you're feeling. Sometimes just saying, "I'm scared to leave this house," out loud can release some of the pressure. And remember that it's okay to grieve and to be excited at the same time. You can hold both emotions.
A lot of downsizers move into a modular home on a family member's property. It's a beautiful arrangement. Grandparents close to grandkids. Parents have help with childcare. Everyone looks out for each other. But it requires clear communication and boundaries.
Absolutely. Before you build, have an honest conversation about expectations. Are you going to be providing childcare? Are your kids going to drop in unannounced? What happens if you need medical care? We've seen arrangements where parents pay a small rent to their children to cover utilities and land use. It keeps things clear. We've also seen formal agreements drawn up so that if circumstances change, like if the kids need to sell the property, everyone knows what happens to the modular home.
One retired couple I worked with, Ron and Elaine, moved on to their daughter's farm. They built a 2-bedroom modular home about 50 meters from the main house. They agreed that Sunday lunch would be at Ron and Elaine's place, but during the week, everyone did their own thing. If the grandkids wanted to visit, they would call or text first. It sounds formal, but it avoided misunderstandings. Everyone knew the rules. As Ron said to me, "We love being close, but we also like our morning coffee in peace."
Another family we worked with installed separate fencing and gardens so that the modular home felt like a distinct property. It gave the parents a sense of ownership and privacy. They came and went through their own gate. They had their own mailbox. They were part of the family unit, but they also had their own front door. It's those little details that make multi-generational living work.
And if you're the child in this situation, be mindful that your parents are still independent adults. They don't need you to supervise them. They may love babysitting, but they also have their own lives. Setting boundaries, even informally, protects everyone's space and sanity.
We touched on community briefly, but it's worth exploring more deeply, because loneliness is a real issue for many older people. Moving into a modular home doesn't mean isolating yourself. In fact, it can be the start of new social connections.
Modular communities are popping up all over Australia. These are not the stereotypical retirement villages with regimented schedules and bingo at 3 p.m, although there's nothing wrong with bingo. They're modern, inclusive spaces where residents own their homes and share communal facilities. Think shared veggie gardens, workshop spaces, libraries, and barbecue areas. The homes are clustered around green spaces rather than streets, which encourages neighbours to chat.
One project in Victoria consists of 10 2-bedroom modular homes, arranged around a central courtyard. Each home has its own deck, but the residents have a communal shed with tools, a herb garden, and a fire pit. They host monthly potluck dinners. The residents range from late 50s to early 70s. Some are single, some are couples. They all say the same thing. They feel safer and more connected than they did in their previous suburban homes.
And there's a financial advantage too. Because land costs are shared or leased from a cooperative, the buy-in is lower. There's usually a strata or community fee, but it covers maintenance of common areas and facilities. It's different from a retirement village because you have more control, you own your building, you can sell it, and there's no exit fee.
Another model that's gaining popularity is co-housing. This is where a group of people, often friends or like-minded individuals, come together to buy land and build a small community. They might have shared meals a few times a week, shared electric vehicles, or even a community manager. The key difference from a typical retirement village is the level of control the residents have. They make decisions collectively.
Social connections don't have to come from a formal community, though. Downsizing can free up time to join clubs, volunteer groups, or sports teams. I know a retired teacher who joined his local men's shed after moving into his modular home. He now spends 3 mornings a week there, teaching young people how to use tools and making toys for charity. Another client joined a walking group. She didn't know anyone when she moved, but now she has a close circle of friends who meet every Tuesday for coffee after their walk.
I've seen people start new careers in their 60s because downsizing gave them the flexibility. A former nurse I know launched a small baking business from her modular home kitchen. She supplies cakes to cafes and markets. She told me she'd always wanted to do it but never had the time or the energy when she was cleaning gutters and mowing lawns. Downsizing gave her that time, and the modular home's design, open kitchen, lots of bench space, made it possible.
Let's get into some nitty-gritty design considerations that might not be obvious at first. We talked about accessibility, but storage is a big one. When you move into a smaller home, you need smart storage solutions. Think built-in wardrobes with adjustable shelving, drawers under beds, benches with storage underneath. We work with joiners who specialize in modular cabinetry, so every nook is used efficiently.
And don't forget multi-purpose furniture. A dining table that extends when the family comes over, a sofa bed for guests, ottomans with hidden storage. These pieces help you host people without needing extra rooms that sit empty most of the time.
Lighting is another underrated aspect. We design our homes with plenty of natural light, but artificial lighting matters too. LED strip lights under cabinets, sensor lights in hallways for those late-night trips to the bathroom, dimmable overhead lights. These small touches make a home feel warm and usable.
Color and materials matter as well. Light colors can make small spaces feel bigger. Warm wood tones create a homely feel. Non-slip flooring in bathrooms, durable vinyl in living areas, plush carpet in bedrooms. These details can make the home feel luxurious without a luxury price tag.
And let's not forget outdoor living. Many retirees love to garden or at least enjoy the outdoors. We design decks with level thresholds so there's no step from inside to outside. Raised garden beds can be installed at a height that doesn't require bending. An outdoor power point means you can plug in a water feature or fairy lights.
If you're into hobbies, painting, pottery, brewing beer, we can incorporate a small studio or shed. The key is to make sure the home supports how you want to live, not just where you sleep.
Let's return to finance for a moment. There are some government incentives and financial products that specifically help retirees and downsizers. In Australia, if you sell your principal residence and are aged 55 or older, you can contribute up to $300,000 of the proceeds into your superannuation fund. It's called the Downsizer contribution. This can boost your retirement savings and provide tax benefits.
There are also schemes like the Pension Loan Scheme, now called the Home Equity Access Scheme. It allows aged pensioners to borrow against the equity in their home to supplement their income. It's essentially a reverse mortgage run by the government. The interest rates are relatively low, and you don't have to repay until you sell the property or pass away. It's not for everyone, but it can help some people fund a modular build while staying financially secure.
Stamp duty concessions are another factor. Some states offer reduced stamp duty or even exemptions for people over 60 who are downsizing to a cheaper home. That can save tens of thousands of dollars. Check with your local state government to see what's available.
Then, there are commercial products like reverse mortgages through banks or specialist lenders. They allow you to tap into the equity in your home without selling it. The interest compounds over time, so it's important to understand how it will affect your estate. Talk to a financial advisor to see if it's appropriate. And Always read the fine print.
One more tip. Consider selling items you no longer need. Cars, boats, tools, these can add up to tens of thousands of dollars. I know a couple who funded half their modular build by selling their caravan and second car. They realized that with a smaller yard, they didn't need the ride-on mower or the trailer. Decluttering can be profitable as well as liberating.
If all this talk has you thinking, where do I even start? Let's break it down. The downsizing journey usually follows a few key steps. First, make the decision. Talk to your partner, your family, whoever is involved. Decide what your goals are. Do you want to be near family, free up cash, travel?
Second, assess your finances. Meet with a financial advisor to understand your budget. Get an appraisal on your current home so you know what you can expect from the sale. Talk to your bank about pre-approval if you plan to borrow. Calculate how much you want to spend on your new home and how much you want to invest or save.
Third, research locations. Do you want to stay in the same suburb or move closer to kids? Do you want a sea change or tree change? Visit different areas, talk to local estate agents, consider proximity to healthcare, shops, and transport.
Fourth, choose your builder and design. Come and visit our display center or any modular builder's display. Walk through the homes, sit in the living room, ask questions, work with a design team to customize the floor plan to your needs. Think about future needs as well as current ones.
Fifth, sort and declutter. Start early. Go room by room. Decide what to keep, what to donate, what to sell. It's tiring but necessary. Involving family can make it fun, or at least less daunting. Put on some music, open a bottle of wine, and make a day of it.
Sixth, handle the approvals. Once you've chosen your design and site, we'll help you navigate the planning and building approvals. This can take anywhere from a few weeks to several months, depending on your state. Be patient and responsive.
Seventh, build and install. The beauty of modular is that once approvals are in place, the build is quick. While the modules are built in the factory, site works happen on your block. Then the home is delivered and connected. You'll be amazed at how fast it goes.
Eighth, move in. Plan your move carefully. Hire professional movers. Label your boxes. Have a plan for the first night: bedding, kettle, coffee. We had one client forget to pack their kettle in the essentials box. They had to pop to the servo for coffee on the first morning in their new home.
Finally, settle in and enjoy. Meet your neighbors, explore your new area, start that hobby you've been meaning to try. Moving is stressful, but it's also a chance to reset and create a home that serves your life today, not the life you had 20 years ago.
Not every downsizer wants to move closer to town. Some people dream of a rural escape, fresh air, open spaces, no neighbors. Modular homes can make that dream a reality because they can be delivered almost anywhere.
We've had clients take their downsizing journey off the beaten track. A couple from Brisbane sold their suburban home and bought 50 acres in northern New South Wales. They installed a 2-bedroom modular home with a huge deck overlooking a valley. They set up solar panels, a rainwater collection system, and a composting toilet with the help of specialists. The build cost a bit more because of the off-grid infrastructure, but their living costs are now minimal. They grow their own vegetables, keep chickens, and spend their days bushwalking and reading.
When you go off-grid, you need to consider access for delivery. Can a truck get down your driveway? You might need a helicopter if the site is really remote. You also need to budget for the off-grid systems. We don't install them, but we work with suppliers who can. Despite the extra considerations, it's doable, and for some people, it's the ultimate retirement dream.
Before we wrap up, I want to spend a bit more time reflecting on what downsizing really means. We've talked about numbers and floor plans, but at its core, downsizing is about aligning your environment with your values. It's about letting go of the things that no longer serve you and making space, literally and figuratively, for what does.
Yeah, and that looks different for everyone. Some people downsize because they want more freedom to travel. Others do it to be nearer to grandchildren or to reduce their expenses. Some are chasing a simpler life, more in tune with nature. I've even met people who wanted to spend more time volunteering, and downsizing freed them from chores so they could give back.
Let's answer a few questions we get asked all the time. One is about pets. Can I bring my dog or a cat? The answer is yes, as long as your site allows it. Modular homes have plenty of room for a pet, and you can design in a pet door, a spot for a litter tray, or even a doggy wash station if that's important to you.
We had a lady who wanted a special perch by the window for her cat. We built a little shelf under the windowsill so the cat could survey her domain. Happy cat, happy owner.
Another question we hear is, what about storage for my hobbies? Whether you knit, fish, quilt, or tinker with cars, there's a modular solution. We've designed integrated craft rooms with built-in cabinetry, fishing rod racks in garages, and, in one case, a full-blown miniature railway room. Don't assume you have to give up what you love. The key is to plan for it.
People also worry about council rates and fees. In most cases, a modular home on your child's property doesn't double the rates. The council might increase rates slightly because there's a second dwelling, but it's nowhere near what you'd pay on a separate property. If you move into a community or cooperative, you'll have a strata or community fee that covers maintenance of common areas. Factor that into your budget. It's usually balanced by the savings on things like upkeep and insurance.
And there's the big scary question. What if I hate it? It's natural to worry that you'll make a decision and regret it. We always encourage people to spend time in a display home, rent a holiday cabin that's similar in size. Talk to others who've made the move. Remember, modular homes retain their value. If you decide after a few years that it's not for you, you can sell it, move it to a new location, or rent it out. You're not stuck.
Something else that comes up is legacy. People ask, will my kids be upset if I sell the family home? It's a valid concern. Have that conversation early. Your kids might not want the old house. They might be relieved that you're moving somewhere safer and more manageable. You can also leave them something far more valuable than bricks and mortar: financial security, lessons in adaptability, and maybe a bit of their inheritance while you're still around to watch them enjoy it.
On a lighter note, let's talk about some of the fun things people do with their newfound freedom. I had a client, Margaret, who always wanted to learn Italian. After moving into a modular home, she joined a language class at the local community centre. Now she hosts Italian dinners for her neighbours. She says her only regret is that she didn't start sooner.
I know another fellow, Barry. He downshifted from a 4-bedroom house to a 1-bedroom modular unit. He used the money he freed up to buy a small sailboat. He spends his mornings on the water and his afternoons napping on his deck. He told me he feels like he's 30 again, except for the arthritis. The point is, downsizing can open doors you never expected.
And if you're worried about staying active, don't be. Many downsizers find they become more active. Without endless chores, they walk more, join gyms, go swimming, or take up gardening in a more manageable way. Your home should support your health, not hinder it.
Before we finish, I'll throw in a few rapid-fire tips. First, start early. The earlier you start planning, the more options you'll have. Second, be realistic about what you need versus what you want. It's easy to get carried away with features, but focus on what will enhance your life. Third, involve professionals, financial advisors, builders, town planners. There's no need to do this alone. And fourth, trust your gut. If something feels right, like moving near your grandkids or heading to the country, listen to that instinct. If it feels wrong, explore other options.
I'll add one more. Have fun with it. Downsizing isn't a punishment. It's a chance to design your ideal lifestyle. You get to choose the colors, the finishes, the layout. You get to decide what stays and what goes. Embrace the creative process.
And, remember that we're here to help. We've done this hundreds of times. We know the hurdles, and we know the joy at the other end. Whether you want to talk numbers, designs, or just need a pep talk, reach out. We love a chat, as you can probably tell.
Yep, we can talk modular all day. And with that, I think we've covered just about everything for this episode.
We've covered a lot today. The reasons to downsize, the design features that matter, the lifestyle benefits, the financing and approvals, and even some of the mistakes people make. If there's one thing I'd emphasize, it's that downsizing should be empowering, not daunting. You're not giving something up. You're gaming freedom. Freedom from maintenance, freedom to travel, freedom to spend more time with family or on hobbies. Modular homes make that possible because they're quick to build, easy to customize, and, dare I say, more affordable than many alternatives.
And you don't have to figure it all out alone. Talk to us. Talk to other downsizers. Visit our display centre in Canberra and walk through the Burleigh, Waratah and Barossa models. Try the VR station and see how a design feels. Even if you're just thinking about moving in a few years, now is the time to start planning. The more you prepare, the smoother the transition will be.
Our Brisbane display centre is now open with the Burleigh and Coogee model, and by the end of the year we'll have a number of models on display ready for you to view. So if you're in that part of the world, drop by when it's ready. And as we've mentioned before, Victoria, Western Australia, South Australia, Tasmania and the Northern Territory are all on our roadmap. We want to make sure there's a place near you where you can experience modular living firsthand.
In episode 4, we'll shift our focus to first home buyers. We know getting into the property market is tough, but modular homes offer some unique advantages. We'll talk about how younger people can get on the ladder quicker, what financing options are available, and how parents can help their kids by putting a modular home in the backyard.
And yes, we'll keep it real with a few ums and nahs along the way. It wouldn't be us if we didn't.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who might be thinking about downsizing. Leave a review, subscribe, and visit us at the Display Centre. Until next time, keep dreaming big and building smart.